Welcome to the App Advisory Show, your fortnightly dose of all things cloud accounting, apps, and app advisory.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. So this is the App Advisory Show. I'm Matt Flanagan from Abacus, and I'm delighted to have Ellie Dignam from BHP. Afternoon, Ellie.
Hi Matt, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm enjoying this heat in the UK. It's amazing without any aircon. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. I just wish my Wi-Fi stretched to the garden.
Yeah, well, that'll be the next step, right? In the new houses, that's what we'll be doing. So thanks for taking a bit of time with us today, Ellie. And we're going to have a little bit of a natter about you and the role you're doing and how you've got there. A little bit about the journey you've been on, where you want to get to, and then a few hints and tips that maybe someone who's listening, who's thinking about starting what you're in the middle of, would do differently. And then we'll have a bit of a chat around some tech and some of the stuff that you quite like, enjoy doing. So, Ellie, tell us a bit about what you do, who you work for, what your role is, and how you got there.
Okay, so my name's Ellie. I work for BHP. So we're a firm based in the north. We've got 5 offices, around 300 staff, and we're a mid-tier firm. I think we're top 40. So quite a sizable firm, and we offer everything from corporate finance to audit and accounts to advisory services. So I've actually worked at BHP now for 9 years. That makes me feel really old. I qualified in 2017 in audit and accounts, and kind of just took a little bit of a sidestep really. So had a bit of a passion for tech, which surprised me more than anyone else, because if you'd have asked me to put a VLOOKUP table together, I would have just laughed at you. A pivot table or do a VLOOKUP. But I really got a bit of a passion for data analytics, and that kind of developed. So I moved out of the audit team to specialise in rolling out our data analytics offering, which was mainly in the audit team. And then I've just recently moved over to kind of jointly head up our digital advisory services. So we were split into 2. We were BHP Prosper and BHP LLP. We've brought Prosper in to the LLP, and I'm helping Chris and the rest of the team to really roll that out and get some traction with it and help more clients. Okay,
cool. So going back to the start of the 9 years, I don't want to make you feel old or anything, but because 9 years is nothing, by the way, when you're my age. But going back to that period of time, like you must have seen quite a bit of change even in those 9 years from when you started and what you're doing in like day one, year one, to maybe what you were doing, a year ago or even last week. Probably that must be quite a significant difference.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, everything. And without saying the C word or the P word, these last 18 months have just been just an insane period of change for us as a firm. It's kind of hard to catch up, really. It's been great because it's forced us to do projects that were on my innovation list that I thought we might do in 3 years in 18 months. But change-wise, it's just we're an entirely different firm to when I started. It's mental. I mean, just for the fact I remember one accounts job, and I'd spent 3 weeks ticking off a bank because I couldn't get the difference right, and I had to start again because that was the only way back then. So just things like that, it's just insane how different it is.
Yeah, it's big difference. But like you say, the last 18 months certainly has sort of heightened that, hasn't it? And not just for the accountancy and bookkeeping profession, but also the SMEs as well. They've had to adjust quite a bit in that period of time, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, I think it's kind of nice in a way, trying to think of the positives, because we've been wanting to push certain services and advisory and digital on a lot of our clients purely because we think it's best for them for a long time. And I think it's meant that a lot of clients that have been against it have suddenly caught up with our thinking, and they're wanting those services, and it's not a case of us trying to advise and push them on them. So that's a real benefit that we've seen. Okay,
so I know you've gone to the digital team now, and you're starting to scale that a little bit and start to gain some momentum. But you also did a bit of digital change in the audit team, right?
Yeah, I did.
So tell us a bit about that, because I think it's quite interesting, this
Okay.
arena.
So thankfully, we've got a really forward-thinking partner group. And back in 2015, we sat down with a company called Inflow, and we're really impressed by their data analytics offering. And so what we did from sort of late 2016 to late 2018 was try and scale this idea of data analytics and using their service. Because what we found was the big four use data analytics really well, but they have, the resource to build their own data analytics platform and have data scientists and data analysts and all the specialists, whereas mid-tier firms like us don't have that ability. So we decided to go with Inflow, but what we struggled with was actually getting traction with clients and with the internal team. So the partner group had this idea of basically setting someone out of client work just to focus solely on making this work. I'll never forget Paul, the head of audit, pulled me into a room upstairs and just passed me a piece of paper, and I was like, oh my, I thought I was really good at my job. What's this? And he was actually offering me this new role. And to be honest, I really had to think about it. I just thought, this is not the traditional path. When am I going to get a portfolio of clients? How do I make manager? I was fresh out of being a senior at that point, quickly got promoted to assistant manager just before I started. All that I never got that portfolio of clients. So that was really strange. And I just thought, I'm going to take a risk on that. And honestly, it was the best thing I ever did. So we got about 80% of our audit clients using Inflow. And what we did was design reports to add value. So we could give them really insightful management information on how their finance function was running. And obviously we also used it to improve audit quality and all those things. So it was really, really successful project, and I took so much from it. It kind of gave me those project management skills that I guess I've kind of taken with and run. And at the time it was supposed to be an 18-month project, and I just said to Paul one day, I said, I'm not going back into audit. I said, I love this project management. I think I'm quite good at it. Can we widen my role? And that's when I started looking at the digital advisory side and various other projects that we've done. But yeah, that was the audit digitalisation project.
Okay, cool. So you've already done one piece of change and come up with all the obstacles, because there's process change, there's people and mindset change, which is really difficult. And then you thought, right, I'll go and do it again, glutton for punishment. I'll go and do another really hard change project around digitising the accounts and the that world as well. So, so I know you're more official in this role, but you've had a bit of a some engagement with what's going on with the cloud and digital and the accounting space. So, because I know that I ran a session with you guys and you were there, even though you weren't officially there, if you know what I mean. You were there, but not really there. But essentially, so this role now, what are you hoping to get to? Where do you want to get to with this digital? Because I know you've got quite a lot of cloud accounting clients and quite a portfolio, but where would you like to get to ideally with it?
So our goal is to be, the number one trusted advisor for the top 400 SMEs in the region. But also, including our existing clients, we really want to be that one-stop shop, that forward-thinking, kind of really offering you that advisory. We just want to help our clients grow to the best of their ability, and have a really slick offering. So I think probably everyone. I think it's quite difficult because you spend a lot of time listening to people that have kind of set up on their own and done this, and they've started with a full batch of 0 clients and picked all the apps and, really made a success of it. And I'm not saying that's not without its challenges, but from the BHP side of things, we've got a huge legacy client base. Mm-hmm. We've been established for 145 years. Our history actually goes back to, so staff and our working ways and partners, they also need bringing along on the journey. So we've got our own challenges, and that's what I want to help the digital finance team that we've got and our account specialists really get to the point where the offering's slick. We're spending as little time as possible doing the the actual kind of grunt work and the compliance side, and as much time as possible adding value and doing advisory. That's the dream.
Yeah, so that's the project you're embarked on. And to be fair, you guys have been migrating people to cloud for a number of years, to be fair. You know, you've got a big client base there. So I suppose there's two challenges. Is one, going back to the existing client base who are on cloud and making sure we're optimizing those guys, then we've got to migrate, and also then attract new clients who might be on cloud or legacy. So there's quite a lot of challenges there, isn't there? But you've got quite an experienced team in terms of cloud knowledge, haven't you guys?
Yeah, so we've been doing the cloud thing for a long time, the zero conversions and the app implementations. I think the main key aim at the moment is scale. We want to be able to offer it as a really slick process for every client, and we've got a lot. You know, so it's just making sure that project delivery is on time, and that we're working with our clients, and that we're able to push it out to as many of that existing client base as possible. We're almost approaching them and having the capacity to do it and the method to do it before they've asked. Which we already are, but you know, really on that scale side of things.
Yeah, because one of the things is like you mentioned earlier about we've got to educate internally. Like we've got partners and managers and other people with the firm 145 years of experience. There's all sorts of processes and things going on there that you have to sort of dig deep and find out. But the flip side is you've also got to do that to your clients and your prospects, right? You've also got to educate them as to what can be achieved, what they could have. So education is like really important, isn't it, in terms of internally and externally?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a challenge, because a lot of the managers have kind of come up with Sage. So it was, you know, Sage backup, it's the dream job. Now it's kind of zero, but so it's that re-education and understanding all the kind of app marketplace offerings and what that means for a client and how they run their business. So it's a lot of education. And it can be quite difficult to manage, because, you know, this is not the only space that's changing in the accounting. Audits targets move all the time, you know, new regulations, everything. We've introduced data analytics, so we haven't stood still, and it's making sure that education's right and going to the right people at the right time. That is a huge challenge. So as you know, we've been running all sorts of advisory academies and digital academies and things like that to get people up to speed, but also making sure that, you know, the people that need to know now and the ones that need a surface overview and understanding, that's what they're getting out of it, so that it's not too much. Yeah,
so leveling it to the right level for the right people, right? So they need the detail, they don't. They just need to know what we are offering overall and what the service we can deliver. Okay. And do you think it's quite exciting, this new, like, you know, if you got excited by audit, people think, oh, you got excited by audit and data analytics. What do you think about the new digital and cloud accounting world that well, it's not that new, but the emerging, I should say, probably?
I think it's really exciting, and you know, I don't care what anyone thinks about that. I thought data analytics was really exciting for audit. Brought something to the table that you hadn't previously been able to see. And equally with this, what is actually better than being able to spend time helping your clients run and grow their business? Isn't that what we all do this for? You know, so I think it's I've got a bit of a passion for like kind of like future proofing the profession, and I think this is where it's going. So yeah, I personally think it's great, and the more we can do, the faster and the better. Then that's good for me.
It's good, isn't it? I think that point about future-proofing the profession is really a key point, because I think we can see a lot of people as competition and a lot of other firms, but there's still a lot of businesses, and it seems that we're going to get more businesses started, because it's so easy to start a business nowadays as well. So there'll be more businesses to serve. And if we can get people aware of the type of service they can have, then ultimately that means we all start to get a much more aware end user or business or client that we can work with. So it is important that we do collaborate on these things and try and improve. And not everything's going to be exactly the same for every firm. It's like how you take the structure of it and then how you apply it will be different. But I think it's a real key point about, you know, we do need to up level what firms know, but also what clients know. The more of us who are talking about these types of services and what you can do, I think is really important. What I was going to ask you as well was, we spoke about the education with some of our colleagues in the accounting profession or the bookkeeping profession. Would you think, I think one of the challenges is that, let's say nowadays we do a digital health check or a finance function review, and we can offer some expenses and some payroll and some credit control and all these great tools that we've got. Some of the challenges is that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we couldn't do that. Like we'd say, okay, your expense process is a bit naff. Just get a better spreadsheet, right? Or just move off it. So we haven't ever had any solutions really to offer until now. So it's not just the education, it's actually, this is just new stuff that the client doesn't know about and we don't know about, and we're not sure how to offer it commercially sometimes, or even what service it should be. How have you found that as you start thinking about it as a firm?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think one of the biggest challenges is keeping on top of it. It's almost daily, it changes. And what we actually do a lot of collaboration. So, you know, we do the Scale program with you, which I really enjoy because we get to listen to other people's stories. Equally, you know, going on some of the digital accountancy show events and all sorts of things like that help you get that information without having to trawl through yourself. I think for us, we've been following in your footsteps, Matt, you know, doing the finance function reviews and the digital health checks, and then having that conversation. So your process isn't up to scratch and it's not doing the best it could. Here are your options. And then we're currently at the moment working on doing some external education. So where we're not able to have that conversation, or we might not have spotted that issue just because it ended up, we just had a really quick meeting and we signed the accounts or whatever. So we didn't quite get into the detail. And at least if we're pushing out external content, we're making our clients aware of what is out there and making ourselves available if they spot that they might need some help in that area. But it is really challenging. And sometimes I think you can offer all these things and people might not quite see the benefits. We're not software sellers, we don't want to be, but equally we do want to help finance functions and everything. So it's a bit of a challenge.
I think also, like, so when you're talking about the external education, you're talking about some webinars and some blogs and some joint stuff with some of the app providers and the Zeros and of Co that I know you guys have done. So that's really important that we do that, because I think, as you say, it's not, the time won't be right based on what we're offering. The time's going to be right when the client needs it or actually understands it's something. And actually that might be a conversation, an email, a blog, a webinar before it drops. And actually I've got a problem right now. So it might take 5. They've been talking about this for ages and now I get it. And as much as we might talk about it and we've told them once, I think that continual nurturing in all forms, as much as possible, is really important that we do that. So you, what type of stuff have you got planned for your education externally?
So webinars, blog posts, case studies. So what we're hoping with case studies is that someone resonates with that story and goes, you know what, I need some help. Because actually one of the things as well is it takes some time on the client's part. If we want to do a deep dive finance function, we need some dedicated time from the client and their team. And generally it will not be the MD that's contacted us or the FD. It's going to be the other people in the finance team. So we need that dedicated time to be able to do that, properly offer that service. So in some ways it is great when they come to you first and they have that ping moment. Webinars, blogs, and case studies, technical updates. We're just going to push out as much as we can, and then hopefully we're just working on our CRM at the moment, but when we kind of have got a bit more information in that about software that clients use and their industry and things, we'll start doing some more targeted sort of emails and everything like that.
Campaigns.
Really
cool. So that's going to cover everything. They can read it, they can listen to it, they can watch it when they want. It's going to be all embracing. And also for you guys, if you're recording that stuff or it's content which is a bit evergreen, you can send people to that as well. So it's not got to. You can get a bunch of resources where you can send people, which is really useful. Okay, cool. So somebody sat where you are and you've been looking at this digital world, and I know you've done the audit and you've been looking at, and there, let's say a couple of years ago, and where you were then, anything you do a bit differently, any hints or tips you'd give anybody, or you give yourself going back a couple of years and say, do this or do that, or change the way you did something?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Okay. I'll set the timer just so we can finish.
I think I did have a think about this, and I think the main one for me is the data. So we're a big firm, we've got a lot of clients, a lot of departments, and a lot of different ways of kind of working.
Yeah.
And if I'd have had better data from day one, or a better understanding of our data, we'd have been able to move a lot faster on a lot of projects. So for me, it's getting that understanding, thinking about what you want to achieve, and then ensuring you know enough about your clients. So are they on Xero? Are they on Sage? Have we used a consistent industry and sector approach to data across various, so in your billing profiles and your CRM, so that, if you genuinely want to target your landlords and your property clients, you actually can, and they're not called something else. Just understanding where your year ends hit, what services everyone has, just really simple things. But if you don't have that, it can make almost every big project a challenge, well, more challenging than it should be.
Yeah.
And
so
then
just pick it.
Sorry.
Go on, carry on. I'll come back to the data one. Yeah, carry on.
Then probably just my second biggest one is communication is key. So we're a sizable firm with a lot of staff, so this might not be relevant for everybody, but we have, for some reason, I don't know why we did, when we did our Xero work papers project, where we moved all our clients and started using Xero work papers internally, we kept it a secret for so long, and I don't know why. And it was just the biggest mistake ever, because we should have got people involved from day one, start getting that positive momentum built up. And obviously you do have to pick key people, because you do want a positive message going out, not a negative one, particularly before you've even rolled out. But for big projects like that, I just think that constant level of community, because the rumours always spread anyway. And then all that does create a little bit of a resentment before something's even happened. So that for me is huge, particularly if you're a large firm with multi offices. Get communicating.
Yeah, I think on the communication, I'll come back to the data one, but I think on the communication, it's twofold. You got to keep people involved, but there's a feeling if you've been involved, even just getting some early glimpses of stuff and you've got no feedback, you feel like you're part of something that's being progressed. If it just turns up on your desk, it's just being done to you. And there's always resentment that I'm just going to make you use this because we think it's best. So it is. I mean, I'm not saying you communicate that way, but I think that's the way we all feel. If you're not sort of part of something, oh, well, I'm just being done to it, I don't have a chance to give my 2 pence, even if you didn't have a 2 pence to give. So it's just that feeling that I think is a natural instinct to feel that it's being done to me. So that's a really good tip for somebody to pick up. And back on the data one, like data hygiene in this profession is horrendous. Honestly, it's I think what happens, and certainly on MTD way back, that was one of the key things, segmenting clients and running through. But I think the mistake that happened back then is lots of firms who were large client portfolios, they did a one-off exercise to get an understanding of all their clients. And of course, it's out of date the minute you sent all those spreadsheets around and people fill them in. And your basic. So it's one to get the data sorted, but then it's to get, like you were saying, there's multi areas of getting things completed or updated. The data processes to keep the hygiene really good, because all that happens is you do those spreadsheets, you get that one look, great. Oh, now we're back to where we were before because we're completely out of kilter again. And those people filling the spreadsheet start to get annoyed because you're constantly asking for a new spreadsheet update. So yeah, if you can get that data hygiene and then the data processes sorted, it just makes life so much easier.
Yeah, that is so true, because generally as well, it takes 2 weeks to pull together. So it's already out of date when it's finished the first time. Never mind when you actually need to use it a month later. So
absolutely, yeah. So for data hygiene, if you're listening and you think, oh, I've been putting that off forever, don't. It's got to be a project of its own right. Getting the data right and then ensuring it's right ongoing. Okay, that's 2 good reader tips. Data, comms, engagement, those types of things I think are really valid. So thank you. Okay, just to finish up then, bit of tech. that you like, or bits of tech. It can be what you use at work, it can be what you don't use at work. I don't really mind. It's just something that is a bit more personal to you in terms of whether it's professional or personal use. What have you got?
I'll give you one of each. TikTok, best thing since sliced bread.
Right, okay, cool. We've not had TikTok yet.
I know how to do all sorts of DIY tasks, much to my partner's annoyance. He was a plumber. I think I can tile better than him now. I can also cooking tips, and even a bit of accounting's on there, and Excel. It's just the platform. I think it's amazing.
So are you using it purely as educational? Are you watching some other stuff which is just fun?
Oh, then there's the funny ones, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I have not seen anything around here. All I see is daft stuff, which I quite like, but I haven't got TikTok. But I have heard a few people saying, I'm picking up a few hints and tips, but I always thought like YouTube would be for that. But okay, TikTok's up there.
And then on a more professional note, my current absolute favourite is Carbon.
Okay, cool.
I personally think it's everything we've been looking for in the workflow management tool. And when you're looking to scale something like this, and you've got so many clients that you offer so many different services to through various different teams, I think that is the perfect tool to bring it all together and have that one view, and really help the team plan their time and understand where things can move. So yeah.
Okay.
We're not fully rolled out yet, so I might take this back, but for me, so far, so good. Absolute favourite at the moment. Okay,
so I'm going to pick up on this. It could be close between TikTok or Carbon, depending on who's listening. But on the Carbon front, because I think the practice management is always like a really topical in terms of people want to know what people are using and should I choose this one or should I choose that one? But being that you've been from a sort of a change background, a project management background, how did you go about getting to the point where Carbon was the right one? And if you're in a role out and you're still happy with it, then you've probably made the right decision. It's normally early rollout you start to find the problems. So how did you get to the point where you thought Carbon was the right one? What did you undertake internally?
So what the problem we were trying to solve was, we had like management accounts clients, bookkeeping clients. They sometimes would go into year-end clients, sometimes wouldn't. We wanted to merge the team, so we needed something where they had an overall view, and we'd had to take we'd separated our audit and accounts planners, but the accounts jobs kind of never went on a planner. So we just when they came in, we did them. So we had a problem that we wanted to solve. And we'd looked at various things, and we were looking for just a planning software, just something where we could map out jobs. And then I went on a webinar, someone mentioned it, and I just completely just thought this is going to save so much stress and worry and concern, and have that overall view and really help us manage time. So we got the 10 members of the team that we were proposing would use it. So that's our pure compliance accounts team and our digital finance team. Got 10 managers across the offices to watch a 1-hour demo, and everyone just fell in love the minute they saw features. So Chris and I took it, had another demo, asked as many questions as we could think of, and then we got down to how would we implement it, because it is complex, because you do build in all your different work types. So it's a lot. This is why we're still not fully rolled out yet. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's not a challenge. It has been to build, but they are really helpful. And I'm not getting any sponsorship or anything from this. It's genuinely my opinion. So we kind of went through that process, and then at the moment we're in a testing phase, and so far so good. And then we'll bulk upload all our work and just roll with it, really.
Okay, but well, I think that'll be people noting that down, having to think about how they could do it, because I think some of the mid-tier to large firms think it's quite an undertaking to do this and change, and as you said before, when you've got lots of different processing going on, it's hard to pull all that into one. So a couple of key things that really stick out about Carbon, I feel like key benefits that you think are the reason you've plumbed for it, if you were picking 1 to 3, doesn't matter how many.
Okay, so you can have a dashboard. So imagine you built all the service lines you're offering and all the tasks that are within those service lines. Yeah. And then you match your clients up to those work types. So 20 clients go to bookkeeping, etc. That recurs for you. So you don't have to worry that you've forgotten someone. It's always going to happen for you. And you build automators. So if I've ticked that I've had that Dexter's up to date and I've got all the receipts and invoices in and I've reconciled the bank, I know exactly where in my to-do list and where on my dashboard works at. So I also know how far away from deadlines we are and how far into budget we are. So I can find problems quick and start having conversations, and they're not too late to have. And I think whilst everyone's working remotely, you know, if you're not doing those daily check-ins, something can go quite drastically wrong within a day. So it's that overall view. And say you're in a piece of work and they desperately need some management accounts and you cannot think for the life of you where you might fit it in, you don't need to worry because you've got it all in front of you and you can filter that by team or work type, or, you know, if you're a manager, what have I got to review this week?
Yeah, okay.
And then probably one of my other favourite features of it is the triage function. So that links to your emails, and each morning you go in and clear your triage. So you can tag, so can you deal with this? And it drops into their to-do list. But you've always got that view of what happened to that task, and you can add it to you can add it to various tags and things. So yeah, for me, it's just that kind of all-encompassing workflow management and time management piece of kit. So for us, it's probably my favourite at the moment, because for where we're at in our journey, I think it's essential for us to have that overview and see where we're at. And, you know, if we need to recruit because we've won a lot of work or we've had a lot of uptake, then we can make that decision because we can see it all. Yeah,
it's an informed decision then, because you can see what's coming up. And the triage piece, so that's really ensuring you don't miss any emails, right?
Yeah.
So it means you action and not sat there and something's there. And I think going back to the visibility, what it allows you to do is just drill down by exception. So rather than check everything, you can just check something which isn't ticked or isn't on the right timeline for a deadline. So that gives you that type of visibility. Okay, sounds cool. Okay, I think you've probably got Carbon a few demos out of that, so you should probably contact them and maybe get your own reference code or something, see what you get out of that. But no, that's great. Okay, well, that brings us to the end. So thank you very much, Ellie, for sharing your experience and some of what the challenges have been, and giving some hints and tips. And I think the tech bit, I'll have a look at TikTok. I'm probably not going to have a look at Carbon, but you've probably got to Carbon a few more demos, like I say. But thanks a lot for joining us today, Ellie. That's been much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So anybody who's listened to this, please subscribe on iTunes, we're on YouTube, we're on Buzzsprout, we're on Spotify, we're on anywhere that there's any type of podcast. So please go and subscribe to that. And I will see you on the next episode. Cheers, Ellie.
Thanks.